From the outside, their family looked picture perfect. A mother who smiled in public, 2 daughters with long flowing hair, and a father who stayed in the background. Always quiet, always distant. But inside their home, the story was very different. Everyone knew who the star was. The younger sister Claire. She was the one who made their mother's eyes sparkle, the one who got the loud applause during family dinners, the one who received every compliment as if she were royalty. And then there was Emily, the older daughter. She was there, always present, but somehow invisible. Her achievements were overlooked, her voice silenced, her efforts disregarded. The family's conversations were filled with Claire's grades, Claire's charm, Claire's beauty. Their mother would beam proudly and say, "This is my daughter Claire, the one I'm proud of." And every time she said those words, Emily felt something inside her shrink. It wasn't just favoritism. It was rejection disguised as pride. But Emily endured it, because what else could she do? She loved her family, even if they didn't seem to love her back. Still, she always wondered, why am I not enough? Why does my own mother look through me like I'm a shadow? She didn't know it yet. But the day would come when this cruel favoritism would turn into humiliation, and that humiliation would spark a revenge no one in her family would ever forget. It started with a phone call. Her mother's voice was unusually warm that evening. "Emily," she said, "we're all going out to dinner this weekend. A special family celebration. Claire has been accepted into her dream program. She deserves it. You should come." For a moment, Emily froze. A family dinner? She couldn't remember the last time they had invited her to anything. Usually they celebrated Claire without even bothering to tell her, so she said yes. Not because she wanted to celebrate Claire, but because, maybe, just maybe, this was her chance. Perhaps this was the moment her mother would finally look at her with pride. Saturday came, and Emily walked into the expensive restaurant. She wasn't used to places like this. Polished marble floors, chandeliers glowing like liquid fire, waiters gliding across the room in crisp uniforms. At the head of the table sat her mother, glowing with joy. Beside her was Claire, dressed like she was the star of a movie premiere. Their father sat quietly at the edge, as always, avoiding eye contact. Emily sat down, trying to smile, trying to belong. The conversations began. They talked about Claire's program, Claire's future, Claire's brilliance. Emily listened, forcing herself to nod, even as the pit in her stomach grew deeper. Then came the moment that shattered her last bit of hope. The waiter poured water, and her mother raised her glass. "To Claire," she said proudly, her voice ringing out for the whole restaurant to hear. "The daughter I am proud of." There it was. The words, sharp as knives, cut Emily's heart right in front of strangers. She smiled faintly, hiding the sting, but inside she was screaming. Her mother didn't even notice. She was too busy gazing at Claire, her perfect child. But what none of them expected was that the real humiliation hadn't even started yet. It was waiting at the end of the night, printed in black ink on a piece of paper. A paper that would cost $1,500. The night stretched on with expensive appetizers, rich entrees, and glasses of wine that sparkled like liquid gold. Everyone ordered without hesitation, laughing, chatting, basking in the glow of Claire's achievements. Emily ordered the cheapest thing on the menu. She didn't have much money. Her salary barely covered her rent and bills. But she wanted to be part of the evening, even if it meant sitting quietly in the corner. Hours later, the plates were cleared. The dessert was finished. Laughter echoed across the table, and then the waiter appeared. With a polite smile, he placed a small leather folder right in front of Emily. "Here's your bill, miss." Emily blinked. "My bill?" Her mother glanced at the folder and said casually, "Oh, yes. We told the waiter you'd be handling this. After all, you insisted on joining us. It's the least you can do for your sister's big night." Her hands trembled as she opened the folder. 1,546 20s. Her breath caught in her throat. $1,546. For food, she didn't even eat. For wine, she never touched. For desserts, she didn't order. Her eyes darted to her mother, to Claire, to her father. But no one looked guilty. They just stared at her expectantly, as if this was perfectly normal. She whispered, I don't have this kind of money." Her mother's voice turned cold. "Then maybe you should have thought about that before tagging along. Don't embarrass us, Emily. Just pay the bill." Tears burned in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not here, not in front of them, not in front of strangers. Somehow she handed over her card, praying it wouldn't decline. It didn't. The transaction went through. But in that moment, something inside Emily broke. This wasn't just favoritism anymore. This was betrayal, humiliation, and betrayal has a way of planting the seed of revenge. That night, Emily went home with an empty wallet and a heart full of fire. She replayed the scene in her mind over and over. Her mother's smug face, Claire's smirk. The waiter handed her the bill as if she were nothing more than their servant. And then she made a decision. If her family thought she was weak, invisible, disposable, she would show them just how wrong they were. Revenge wasn't just about paying them back. It was about finally reclaiming her voice. She began with research. Quietly, carefully, she looked into Claire's life. Her sister's glowing reputation, her perfect image, her social media filled with staged photos of success. But behind every perfect life, there are cracks, secrets, lies, and Emily was determined to find them. Days turned into weeks. She worked her regular job during the day, and at night she dug into Claire's world. She checked public records, old posts, and financial slips Claire had carelessly left around when they still lived together years ago. And slowly, she began to uncover things. Things that Claire would never want their proud mother, or the world, to know. Emily's plan was forming. Piece by piece. She wouldn't lash out in anger. No, she would wait. She would build. She would strike when the time was right, and when she did, the humiliation her family had forced on her would seem like nothing compared to what was coming. Claire wasn't as perfect as she pretended to be. Behind the polished Instagram posts and glowing smile, there were debts, loans she had taken out to maintain her image, credit card bills stacked with luxury purchases she couldn't afford. Worse, there were whispers. A professor who had questioned her sudden grade improvement, a classmate who hinted at copied assignments. Emily collected it all, every receipt, every screenshot, every rumor that could be traced back to something real. But she didn't stop there. She watched as their mother continued parading Claire around town. She heard the same line over and over. "This is the daughter I am proud of." And each time, Emily smiled to herself, because she knew the day was coming when those words would choke in her mother's throat. Emily knew that revenge wasn't about rushing. It was about patience, timing, letting the weight of humiliation grow so that when it finally snapped back, it would shatter everything. She waited for the perfect opportunity, and it came faster than she expected. Her mother announced another grand celebration. This time it wasn't at a restaurant. It was a gala dinner, hosted by one of her mother's wealthy friends. The guest of honor? Claire, of course. "She's the pride of our family," her mother bragged to anyone who would listen. "She's proof that hard work and grace always win." Emily almost laughed. Hard work, grace? If only they knew, and soon. They would. She prepared quietly. A small folder, neatly organized, filled with everything she had uncovered. The debts, the plagiarism, the lies. Even a few photos Claire wouldn't dare want anyone to see. Late nights, drunk, stumbling out of bars while her mother thought she was studying. But Emily didn't just want to expose Claire. She wanted her mother to feel it. To feel the same humiliation she had felt in that restaurant when the bill landed in her hands. So she didn't plan a private confrontation. She planned a spectacle. The gala was her stage. And her family? They were about to become the unwilling actors in a play they would never forget. The ballroom sparkled with chandeliers, the floor polished to a mirror shine. Guests mingled in glittering gowns and crisp tuxedos, laughter echoing beneath the music. At the center of it all stood Claire, dressed like a queen, her mother beaming beside her. They looked untouchable, invincible. Emily walked in quietly, blending with the crowd. She wasn't there to shine, not yet, The evening flowed with speeches, toasts, and endless praise for Claire. Her mother's voice rang out proudly. "My daughter Claire is the one I am proud of. She is everything a parent could hope for." The words echoed in Emily's ears, but this time they didn't sting. This time they fed the fire inside her. When the moment came, she stood. Calm, collected, holding her folder. "Excuse me," she said, her voice carrying across the room. Heads turned. Silence fell. "I couldn't help but notice how proud everyone is of Claire tonight. But pride should come with honesty, shouldn't it?" Her mother's smile faltered. Claire stiffened. Emily opened the folder. Page by page, she revealed the truth. The debts, the cheating, the lies. Each revelation is sharper than the last. Gasps filled the room, whispers spread like wildfire, and Claire's perfect image cracked under the weight of truth. Her mother's face turned pale, her proud words collapsing into silence. And then, Emily pulled out the final blow, a copy of the $1,500 restaurant bill. She held it up high. "This is what my family thinks of me. They humiliated me to celebrate their perfect daughter. They handed me the bill for their pride. Well, tonight I'm handing them the bill for their lies." The room erupted. Some laughed in shock. Others whispered in disbelief. Claire tried to protest. Her mother tried to silence Emily. But the damage was done. The gala, meant to crown Claire as a shining star, had turned into her public downfall. And Emily? She finally had her voice back. The days after the gala were chaos. Claire's reputation was shattered. Her professors questioned her work. Her so-called friends drifted away, embarrassed to be associated with her. The debts she had hidden so carefully now stood in the open, demanding payment. Her mother, once the loudest voice of pride, could no longer hold her head high in social circles. People whispered behind her back, mocking the woman who boasted about a daughter built on lies. And Emily? For the first time, she felt free. She didn't revel in their suffering, but she also didn't regret it. They had pushed her to the edge, treated her like a shadow, humiliated her in ways no family ever should. All she did was hold up a mirror. They destroyed themselves with their own reflection. One evening, weeks later, her mother came to her door. No makeup, no jewelry, no glowing pride. Just a tired woman with eyes full of something Emily had never seen before. Defeat. "Why did you do it?" she whispered. Emily stared at her. "Why, do you really not know? Do you not remember what you said at that restaurant? How do you make me pay for your celebration while you called me nothing?" Her mother's lips trembled. I thought you were stronger. I thought you could handle it." Emily's laugh was bitter. "Stronger? You didn't want me strong. You wanted me silent. You wanted me invisible while you paraded Claire around like a trophy." Her mother's eyes dropped to the floor. For once, she had no answer, no excuse. And in that silence, Emily realized something. She didn't need her mother's apology. She didn't need her recognition. She had taken back her power without it. "Go home," Emily said softly. "I don't need your pride anymore." And she closed the door. Emily's story isn't just about revenge. It's about something deeper. The danger of favoritism, the cruelty of neglect, and the cost of blind pride. Her mother's pride in Claire wasn't love. It was an obsession. An obsession blinds. It blinds parents to the quiet strength of their other children, to the quiet pain of those who go unnoticed. In the end, the $2,500 bill was more than money. It was a symbol, a price tag for humiliation, and Emily refused to pay it anymore. Her revenge wasn't about destroying her family. It was about reclaiming her worth, about showing them, and herself, that silence is not weakness, and invisibility does not mean absence. Because the truth is simple. When you choose one child as your pride and another as your burden, you don't just lose one child. You lose both. And sometimes when the ignored finally speak, their voices echo louder than you ever imagined.